Joe here. Today, we're going to be making beer. Are you ready? Let's go! Hey, do you want to make some beer too?
You mean me?
I mean you, silly! Let's go brew some beer!
Okay!
Wow, someone already left out all the ingredients for us.
Wow! And I'm already wearing my brewing apron and brewing hat.
Kids, this is a carboy. To be precise, it's a 6-gallon carboy. This thing will be where the beer will be contained when we're done with it. This is the grains. The grains act as sugar for our beer. These are malt extracts. This one's a syrup. This one's a powder form. These will also be sugars for our beer.
Gee, mister, what's that?
This is the most important ingredient of malt. It's water. Most of beer is made out of water.
Wow!
And do you know what these are?
What are those?
They're hops. They give the beer its bitterness. And this is our friend Mr. Yeast. Mr. Yeast eats Mr. Sugar and creates alcohol for us.
This is Mr. Sugar. Mr. Sugar provides food for Mr. Yeast. Uh-oh. Looks like Mr. Yeast is here. He brought some friends. This isn't a good day for Mr. Sugar.
Let's see. Dextrine. Looks like we'll be doing a Pilsner lager. Pilsner lagers are fermented at a lower temperature than normal ales. Ales usually ferment between 60 and 70 degrees, whereas lagers ferment between 50 and 60 degrees. Let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take 5 gallons of water and we're going to heat it up to 160 degrees.
I'm one step ahead of you, mister. Here's 5 gallons at 160 degrees Fahrenheit.
The next step, we're going to take the grains, put them in this giant tea bag, and we're going to set them inside the boiling pot of water.
Gee, Mr. Joe, I'm one step ahead of you again. I already put the grains in the bag, and now I'm starting to strain and sparge them. Now this process is called mashing. If we were an actual brewery, we'd have something called a mash tun. It's very efficient. Basically, it takes the grains, puts them in about 160 degree water for an extended period of time, and gets all the good sugars out, which will later be fermented and made into beer.
Now it's just the waiting game.
Pulled our tea bag with grains out of our brew kettle, and we're going to rinse it off with some boiling water out of this kettle. And basically, the reason why we're doing that is just to rinse any more sugar off those grains. So it'll end up in the brew kettle. Just rinse it all over. And then from here, we're just going to bring our kettle to a boil, and that'll bring us to our next step.
And now, it's time to make this water boil. Oh, and now it's boiling. Let's add the ingredients. Let's go!
Alright, first we're going to add the malt extracts, powdered version, to our boiling brew kettle. Important thing is to keep stirring once these ingredients are in. You don't want them to burn at the bottom, otherwise your beer, kids, will taste very burnt.
Next, we have the malt syrup.
Just add that in there. Again, kids, keep stirring. Especially scrape the bottom to make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom and get charred. Get as much of that syrup out as you can. We want all the sugar we possibly can for the highest alcohol content available.
Finally, we want to add the bittering hops. These hops will give the beer its nice, subtle, bitter flavor.
They also act as a preservative.
Now it's been 50 minutes. It's time to add our flavoring hops. These hops add that little kick to our beer. boiling. Drop the hops right in. Look at that go. Alright kids, now our beer is almost done. What we're going to do next is we're going to strain some of that hops out of it. Because drinking beer with chunks of hops in it doesn't taste very good. While I'm doing this, Mark's going to be cleaning all our equipment for later. But first thing we do, we'll take our strainer, pull it out, and we'll get some chunks of hops.
Now that Joe has strained out all the hops, we're ready to start the final stage of our beer brewing process. What we're going to do now is we're going to have to chill the beer down to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you remember, one of the main ingredients of beer was yeast. And the reason why we're making this 80 degrees Fahrenheit is because yeast is a living organism and it can't thrive in hot temperatures. So what I have here is a chiller that's hooked up to our kitchen sink. It's going to pass cold water through these coils, which will chill our wort, which is unfermented beer.
Right now, the wort is 180 degrees. We have to chill this down 100 degrees. That's a lot. Alright kids, now we got our wort cooled down to a fine 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That's perfect for the yeast. The yeast are going to love eating the sugar in here. Well, my assistant Mark has cleaned out our carboy and it's time to put the wort in.
What I have here is an auto siphon. I'm going to give it one pump and it should get it going all into that carboy down there. Sometimes it takes 2 pumps.
Alright kids, now it's time to add in the yeast. You remember our friend Mr. Yeast. He eats the sugar. What we're going to do is we're going to take him and all his friends and pour them into the wort. Next, Mark's going to show us something special.
Right here I have a fermentation lock. Basically what this does is it keeps bacteria from getting inside our fermenter. I'll put this on here. The water in the tube will allow gas to escape and nothing to get in. We're going to leave this on here for around 2 weeks or so during its primary fermentation, and then we'll see where the beer is at that point.
Alright kids, so that's how you make beer. Now just remember,